All right, so are you ready for a deep dive into something that might sound as exciting as a geometry lesson?
You lost me at geometry.
I know, right? The triangle offense, it doesn't exactly scream thriller, does it?
Not really, no.
But, but, this is the system that fueled 11, count 'em, 11 NBA championships.
11. Wow. Okay, you got my attention.
So we're going to go way beyond those boring triangles you probably drew in school and really explore how this system became like a dynasty-making machine. And we're not just talking about the how it worked. We're going to get into the why.
That why?
Why was it so dominant, and could it actually work in today's NBA?
That's a great question. I mean, the triangle, it's not just some rigid playbook. It's really more like a basketball philosophy, a way of thinking about the game. It's all about spacing, constant movement, reading the defense and making the smartest play possible every time, every single time you touch the ball.
So you're saying it's less about memorizing plays and more about adapting on the fly.
Exactly, yeah. And, a lot of people give Phil Jackson credit for the triangle because of his success with the Bulls and Lakers. But the story actually goes way back, like way before Phil was even, rocking that Zen master look.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So Phil Jackson didn't invent it.
No, he did not.
I need the details.
Okay, so picture this. 1940s California, sunny California, coach named Sam Barry at USC. He starts planting the seeds for what would eventually become the triangle. His protege, Tex Winter, develops these ideas further in the 50s, calling it the triple post offense.
Okay, so not the triangle yet, but the foundation was there.
Right.
It's interesting how these ideas can take decades to gain traction.
Exactly. And Tex Winter, this basketball purist, he was obsessed with spacing and ball movement. He even wrote a whole book about it, but his ideas were just way ahead of their time. It took years for the NBA to catch up.
Now, that's a life lesson right there. Sometimes a great idea just needs the right moment to shine.
Yeah.
So how did Tex Winter end up, linking up with Phil Jackson?
All right, fast forward to the late 80s. Winter joins the Chicago Bulls coaching staff. And when Phil Jackson gets promoted to head coach, he's open-minded enough to embrace Winter's ideas. And that's where the magic starts. They implement the triangle, adapting it to the NBA, and most importantly, adapting it to the unique talents of their players.
All right, now you're talking. So let's break down the triangle itself. What are those fundamental principles that make this thing, make it tick?
Okay, so imagine 3 pillars holding up this whole offensive system. First up, spacing. You want players spread out on the court, almost like a perfectly arranged chessboard. This prevents the defense from clogging things up, opens up passing lanes and driving opportunities.
But wouldn't that give the defense more space to, help and recover? It seems counterintuitive.
That's where the second pillar comes in. Constant movement. Players aren't just standing around admiring all that open space. They're cutting, setting screens, repositioning, just keeping the defense on their toes.
So it's a dynamic system where players have to react to the defense and make decisions on the fly.
You got it. It's all about reading and reacting. And that brings us to the third pillar, decision-making.
Decision-making.
The triangle empowers players to analyze the defense and make the best choice in the moment. No robots here, just smart, adaptable basketball.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how this all fits together, but how did they balance this system that emphasizes teamwork with, the need to showcase superstars like Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting, because the beauty of the triangle is that it actually enhances their strengths. It made them more complete players.
More complete players.
Yeah, think about Jordan, an incredible scorer.
Right.
But the triangle forced him to move the ball, to make the right pass. It expanded his game. It was beyond just putting the ball in the hoop.
So MJ couldn't just dominate the ball every possession.
Not in the triangle. And the same goes for Kobe. The system provided a framework for them to shine, but it meant trusting their teammates and playing within a system.
That's a big deal, especially for players who are known for, for their strong personalities. And it makes me wonder, how did role players thrive in this system? Guys like Steve Kerr, Derek Fisher, they were deadly, but they weren't exactly superstars.
Yeah, and that's another testament to the brilliance of the triangle. By constantly shifting the defense's attention, with cuts and screens, it creates open shots for everyone. If the defense is scrambling to cover all that movement, someone's going to be open. And those role players, they were ready to knock down those shots.
I see. So it's like a puzzle where all the pieces just fit together perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But how did it work for two very different teams, like the Bulls and the Lakers? They both won championships using it, but they had very different styles.
Yeah, with the Bulls, it was all about maximizing Jordan's scoring, with Pippen playing that facilitator role, creating that smooth balance between inside and outside play.
So Jordan as the primary scorer, but within this framework of constant movement and passing.
Exactly.
That's wild. What about the Lakers?
Well, the Lakers had Shaq, an absolute force in the post. He became that focal point, drawing double teams, creating those opportunities for Kobe to exploit openings on the perimeter.
So same system, but adapted to highlight the strengths of each team. It's like a tailor-made suit for each player.
Yeah.
But then the NBA started to change, right? Three-point shooting became king, offenses got faster, pick and rolls, the go-to play. So where does that leave the triangle? Is it just a relic of the past?
That's the question, isn't it? And it's one we'll explore further as we continue our deep dive into the triangle offense. It's fascinating, even though the NBA has totally transformed those core principles of the triangle offense, they're still relevant.
Yeah, you can't argue with good spacing no matter what year it is.
Right, exactly.
But with all the emphasis on threes and fast breaks these days, does the triangle really fit in?
That's the question everyone's asking, and the answer's not so simple.
Oh, I figured.
You see, even though we don't see teams running the full triangle these days, those concepts, they're still alive.
Okay.
Look at the Nuggets with Jokic. He's like a modern-day Shaq dominating the post.
Right. But the Nuggets don't run the triangle, do they?
Not in its purest form,
Right.
no.
Okay.
But they emphasize spacing and cutting, which creates scoring and passing opportunities for Jokic, just like the triangle did for those legendary post players.
So it's like they've taken the best parts of the triangle and made it their own.
Exactly. And you can even see echoes of the triangle in the Warriors' motion offense with their emphasis on ball movement and reading the defense.
It sounds like the triangle's DNA is still present, even if we don't always recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
But could we ever see an actual triangle resurgence? Could a team today actually benefit from running the full system?
That's where it gets really interesting. Imagine a team built around a dominant post player like Jokic, surround him with shooters who can spread the floor and cutters who can exploit those passing lanes. Now commit to that spacing and movement that made the triangle so effective.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The defense would have to collapse on Jokic, opening up all sorts of opportunities for those shooters and cutters.
Exactly. They could create high percentage shots all over the court, just like the Bulls and Lakers did back in the day.
That's an interesting idea. But wouldn't coaches hesitate to adopt a system that's seen as outdated? And what about the pace? The triangle's known for its methodical style, while today's NBA is all about fast breaks and pushing the tempo. Could the triangle even keep up?
Those are valid concerns. The triangle in its traditional form would struggle to keep up with the speed of the modern game, but that doesn't mean it can't be adapted. A smart coach could incorporate some elements of early offense, perhaps some quicker passes to blend it with the faster pace.
So you're saying it's not about abandoning the core principles, but finding ways to make them work in a faster, more dynamic environment.
Exactly. It's about evolution, about taking those timeless concepts of spacing, movement, and reading the defense and making them thrive in a new context.
I like that.
Okay.
I'm starting to see the potential.
Yeah.
A team that embraces those principles, empowers its players, and moves the ball with precision could really disrupt defenses that are so used to guarding isolation plays and predictable pick and rolls.
It would be a bold move for sure. It would require a coach who truly believes in the system and players who are willing to buy in. It wouldn't be easy.
But that's what makes it so intriguing,
Yeah.
right? It's like this lost art form waiting to be rediscovered, reimagined for a new generation.
Right.
But let's be real, the modern NBA is obsessed with data and analytics.
Oh, yeah.
And the triangle, with its emphasis on mid-range shots, might not be the most analytically pleasing offense.
Yeah.
So how do you reconcile that?
That's a great point. The analytics movement has definitely shifted the focus toward threes and shots at the rim, and the mid-range game has taken a hit. But I think there's a way to bridge that gap. The triangle isn't just about taking mid-range shots. It's about generating the best possible shot, whether it's a layup, a three-pointer, or, sometimes a mid-range jumper.
So it's about creating high-percentage looks, no matter where they come from. It's like a blend of old-school philosophy and new-school data.
Exactly. You can use data to refine the system to identify which players are most effective in certain spots, which types of cuts are most successful, and how to best exploit mismatches.
So instead of viewing analytics as a threat, you're suggesting we use it as a tool to make the triangle even better.
Precisely. It's about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance between tradition and innovation. And who knows, maybe by embracing those analytical insights, we can unlock the true potential of the triangle in the modern NBA.
Okay, you've got me thinking. The triangle might be old, but it's definitely not dead. It's just waiting for the right opportunity. But we've talked a lot about the how and the why of the triangle.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears and talk about its legacy. What's its lasting impact, even if we never see another team run the full offense again?
The triangle's impact is huge.
Right.
It fundamentally altered the way people approach the game. Before the triangle, it was all about isolation plays, about giving the ball to your best player and letting them go to work.
Right. It was the era of hero ball, where the star player was expected to carry the team.
Exactly. But the triangle showed the world that you could win championships with a system that emphasized teamwork, intelligent spacing, and smart decision-making.
It's like it elevated the whole team, not just the stars.
Precisely. And that's a lesson that resonates even today. Even with the focus on three-pointers and high-scoring offenses, those championship-caliber teams still prioritize ball movement, finding the open man, and making the extra pass. Those are the echoes of the triangle's legacy.
I never thought of it that way. It's like the triangle's DNA is part of the game, even if it's not always obvious.
And beyond the X's and O's, the triangle had a big impact on coaching, too. Think about Phil Jackson's success with the Bulls and the Lakers.
Right.
He proved that you could coach superstars. You could get guys like Jordan and Kobe to buy into a system that's all about the team.
Those guys were known for being super competitive.
Yeah.
They wanted to win on their own terms.
Exactly.
It must have been a challenge to get them to embrace that philosophy.
It wasn't easy, that's for sure. But Jackson showed everyone you could build a culture of teamwork and trust, even with the biggest egos in the league. He understood that a team is more than just a bunch of talented players. It's a unit that has to work together.
So the triangle's legacy, it goes beyond the court. It changes coaching strategies, team dynamics, and even how we think about basketball.
Absolutely. And that's what makes the triangle offense so fascinating. It's a story of innovation, adaptation, and the power of teamwork. Even if the full triangle never comes back to the NBA, its principles will be around for a long time.
So next time we're watching a game, we shouldn't just focus on the ball.
Right.
We should look for those subtle signs of the triangle's influence, like the spacing, the cuts, the split-second decisions.
Yeah, keep your eyes peeled for those echoes of the triangle, and you'll see its impact on the game.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the triangle offense. Hopefully you learned something new, and maybe you even see the game a little differently now.
And remember, basketball is always evolving, but the fundamentals, they never go away. The things that made the triangle so successful will always have a place in the game.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the triangle offense. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep your basketball